Hey there, everyone, my friends. This is Bill MacDonald, the Common Sense Math Doctor. And today I want to talk to you about probability and outcome. If something is inside something else, there's a probability that something that's in there would probably come out. Right now, this box only has a fake gift card from Dollar Tree that's absolutely worthless. But if I were to put a gold ball, a gold coin, and a package of Smarties inside, then there's a probability that one of those would come out. So what's the probability that $100 would come out? Well, there's three things inside, so that would be 0 out of 3. And when you divide 0 by 3, 0 being the numerator and 3 being the denominator, 0 divided into 3 equal parts equals 0. There's a 0 out of 3 chance that that would come out since it's not in there. But if I were to tell you what is the probability, whoops, lost my gold ball. There he is. Sorry about that. What is the probability that a gold ball would come out of the red box? Well, since there's one gold ball, then you say, okay, 1 out of 1, 2, 3. You have a 1/3 chance of getting a gold ball. But the question that we're going to go over that only got 17% correct in Texas asked your students to take the fraction and move it to a decimal. But here's the other problem. They said, what is the chance of something or something happening? What is the chance of something gold coming out? Well, there's a gold ball and a gold coin. So if they say something gold, then 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 out of 3. Just add the number that's left. Or if they were to say, what is the chance of a gold coin or a gold ball coming out of the box? Since those two are what they're asking about, you just put those two numbers together. 1 plus 1, 2, and then add the one that's not being asked about, 3. So 2 out of 3. So in order to get that to work as a decimal, you just take your 2, your numerator, your dividend, and divide it by 3, your denominator, also called your divisor. But a lot of kids struggle with how to do that. So I'm going to show you in a problem for 7th grade. This was the lowest performing 7th grade problem in Texas. And as you can see, it was not multiple choice. It was open-ended. So the most difficult world to live in inside a classroom is an open-ended world. Why? Because 90% of the time we're living in a multiple choice world. That's why we're trying to graduate to at least 25% open-ended. So the question is here. That's what the TEAK is based on. So whenever possible, I highly recommend that you read the question first. That way you get what I call your compass, that you get pointing in the right direction, because you're going to look for things that are being asked about, not things that are not being asked. What is the probability? In other words, something that will probably happen in decimal form, that the selected lollipop will be either cherry flavored or watermelon flavored. So since I said or, either or, I put a plus sign. That means that I can take my cherry flavor and add it to my watermelon as my part. So in the question, I've just got to look for cherry and watermelon. There they are. Question, question. 8 are cherry, 14 are watermelon. Okay. So they sell these for about 50 cents at HEB, Walmart. So arms. In revising, it's called add, remove, replace, move, substitute, but I've never seen substitute come out, but I want you to learn arms for math and for reading. Artist, remember, more, setting. What's the setting of this problem if I draw a picture? Because if a picture paints 1,000 words, I don't need 1,000. I just need a couple of words. All I notice is that I have a bag and that there's 17 grape, first bullet, 8 cherry, 14 watermelon, and 16 strawberry. So they said they want the probability in decimal form. So step one is let's find out how many are cherry or watermelon. 8 cherry plus 14 watermelon equals 22 as the part, the numerator, the dividend, and then you take the 22 that you've already put in there. Make sure your kids do that first because it's always part to whole, the total 22 that you already counted plus the 17 grapes that they're not asking about and the 16 strawberry that they're not asking about, and your fraction would be 22 out of 55 times. That would happen 22 out of 55 times. Well, you could divide because whenever you change a fraction to a decimal, you divide the numerator by the denominator, the dividend by the divisor. Let's reduce first. If you divide both sides by 11, 22 divided by 11 equals 2, 55 divided by 11 equals 5. So there's a 2/5 chance. And so if I were to, in my mental math change, well, if it's 2 out of every 5, then that's 4 out of 10. So 4/10 is the answer, but a lot of kids don't know how to do that mentally. So we are going to go to my mathematics chart where I want to show you that if you have an answer that's only a part of your answer, step one, 2/5 of the lollipops in the bag are cherry or watermelon, then you take the 2 and place it inside the box. So think of this, the dividend goes in, the divisor goes out. So 2 divided by 5. All right. The moss red is a division checklist that I'm going to show you to help your kids when it comes to multiplying numbers that are called factors to get products. Well, 5 is bigger than 2, so that's why it needs to be a percentage. So when I open it up, you'll see the rest of my mathematics chart. So 5 multiplied by something, and so what we multiply, m, will go on the top. Our answer, our other factor, will go on the bottom until we can get to 2. 5 times 0 is 0. 5 times 1 is 5. So I already went past it. Because we're going to be needing to do decimals, I want to go ahead and put that 0 instead of skipping it like we sometimes do. So what you multiplied goes on the top, 0. Your answer goes on the bottom. Then you subtract. 2 minus 0 equals 2. And your RE stands for what's your remainder? Your remainder is still going to be 2 because you didn't multiply anything except 0. So then you have to ask yourself, do I drop or am I done? And we're going to have to drop. And what you have to do here is remember that next to every whole number is either a visible or a non-visible decimal. So I would put a 0 next to the decimal point. So then you have to tell yourself, I'm going to keep going now by 5s. What could I multiply by 5s until I get to whatever 2 and 0 is together? 20. And so 5 times 1 is 5, times 2 is 10, 5 times 3 is 15, 5 times 4 is 20. What did you multiply? 4. So what you multiply goes on the top. Your answer, 20, goes on the bottom. Your remainder is 0. So are we going to drop or are we done? Well, you can continue, but the answer is 0 and 4/10. So you teach your students to say the number that they're asked, say their address, say their number, their street, and then their street number, and then say their address. And 0 and 4/10 is the same thing as 0 and 40 hundredths, or 0 and 400 thousandths. And if you want to talk about money, 40, decimal 40 means 40 cents out of a dollar. So there's a 4/10 chance, 4 out of 10 chance that a cherry or a watermelon lollipop would come out of that. This is my mathematics advanced chart, and it goes, for the sake of the higher grades, all the way to the 100 billions. And for now, we get to choose between A, B, C, D, and F, G, H, J, because that's paper. If we go back to online where it's only A, B, C, D, I'll remove that. And on the opposite side, it basically has a checklist that you need to kind of go through to help yourself. Did you read the question and then the problem solo, softly or loudly, where you're seeing the question, opening your mouths to say it, hearing and listening for important keywords, thinking in your brain, what strategy has my teacher taught me for this kind of problem? While you're reading, underline the keywords and label, marking them in some sort of way with highlights or brackets or whatever your teacher's been teaching you. A couple of higher level things. Start to evaluate your problem. Make a plan. Well, I decided to draw a picture. And so once I drew my picture, I could execute my strategies. And cute is the opposite of ugly. So execute. If I execute my strategies, then I used to give my kids cuties for executing. And while we're on the subject, there's halos that are also seedless. And so whenever students wear their halos instead of their horns in class, then they could earn a halo. So let's eliminate extra information. Well, I needed all of the numbers because the numbers that were not asked about were part of the total. So be careful that your kids do not put part to part. In other words, make sure that they don't say the fraction is 22 out of this 17 and 16 only, which would be 33. And that would be 22 out of 33. No, because the total is 55. It's not part taken to part not taken. It's always part to whole. So then you'll eliminate and explain your wrong answers, select the correct answer, search for errors, and then begin to bubble in your Scantron. Always keep in mind that there's one vowel in the word odd, ding, 3 letters in the word odd, ding, and then you skip count from there. So odds would be A, B, C, D, and then there are 2 vowels in the word even, ding, 4 letters in even, ding, skip count from there. For now, all paper responses will be F, G, H, J, or we'll have a grid response, which is what we had here. And if you already have my mathematics chart, you've laminated it, but I have tons of these, so I just kind of start over each time. So the decimal response would be 4 tenths, 0 and 4 tenths, or just 4 tenths, 0.4 or 0.40. But I really suggest that you have your kids say it correctly, 0 and 4 tenths, or at least 4 tenths, and that they understand the difference between tenths and tens, and the word hundredths and hundreds. That's a very important thing. So that's how you do the most difficult 7th grade math problem. My next video will be number 30. Let me see. Number 35. It will be on understanding the concept, how to find the value of X based on the understanding that every triangle adds up to 180 degrees. Why? Because every square, whenever you take a square or a rectangle and you cut it in half going diagonal, you create 2 triangles. And so if 9 times 4 is 36, then 90 times 4 is 360. A square and a rectangle have 360 degrees, 4 right angles. So half of that number is 180. So we're going to use that information to find out how to find the value of X, which is going to be part of a solution sentence basically for math. Do me a favor and please share this math video with your 7th, 6th, and 8th grade teacher friends. Let me just take a look at something really quickly. I'll be right back. I just want to double check. Give me 10 seconds. I just wanted to make sure on something. I'm back. So number 30, which was the one that we just did in 7th grade, is a supporting standard 7.4E. And let me just make sure that I'm not telling you the wrong information. 7th grade math, number 30. The answer was 4 tenths. It's, oh, sorry, it's a readiness standard, 7.6I, and it was 0 and 4 tenths the way it was marked. So whenever it's readiness, that means that they would learn that in 7th grade. So this would be appropriate for any student in 6th, 7th, or 8th. I always believe in the grade level before and after learning the skills, because it would be great for a 6th grader to learn this at the end of the school year. And it's basically going from a fraction to a decimal, and you can even take it one step further and go to percent. So please like my video in YouTube, share it with your teacher friends, and tag math teachers in 6th, 7th, or 8th grade. And I look forward to seeing many of you this school year. working with you or in math or with your students while teachers observe. I do this every year. I take the anywhere between 10 to 25 of the most difficult problems in each grade level for math, and I make my own twist or tweak, testing it the way it was tested, but in different scenarios. So your kids can practice and get really good at skills and remember forever the things that are hard to remember for even the next day. Thank you guys and God bless.